Polvorosa. Villanueva ends the match. All right, at this moment, we have in the lab somebody who I've had the pleasure of covering. When I was covering the UAAP, he won 3 championships for the Ateneo Blue Eagles. And I also had the pleasure of working with him as an analyst on TV. We have Josh Villanueva here on Volleyball DNA.
Hi, Anton. Hello. Good evening.
Josh, maraming salamat ha. Alam kong very busy ka with your auditions and everything. I know right now, iba ka na ngayon eh. You're an aspiring actor.
Para, yun naman yung nakita kong gusto kong gawin so far sa ngayon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Plus, I always, like, I try to stay fit din para pag bumalik ulit yung league ng men's, di ba? At least, I can still play.
So you haven't completely like shut the door on volleyball?
Well, actually, hindi naman siguro shot competitively before kasi 'di ba nag-work ako.
Yes.
Dahil sa pandemic, yung company namin, yung airline namin nagka-retrenchment. So pero the good thing is i-call back kami, but yun nga.
Oh, nice.
Hindi pa namin alam kung when. Pero yun, since naging okay naman yung mga flights ngayon, hopefully makabalik. Pero ayun, since wala pa, edi bumalik muna ako kung makapaglaro ulit ako ng volleyball, why not, di ba?
Yeah, and I know also one of the requirements sa mga airlines is you have to stay fit, di ba?
Yeah.
So it's
okay
tama yung ginagawa mo na you're just staying ready.
Yeah. Tama.
All right, so we have Josh here on the show today because he's going to help us talk about and discuss what's been happening in the Premier Volleyball League Open Conference. Kami ni Josh, Josh, you're not covering the league right now, right?
Yeah, no.
You're not. So we're both not covering the league because I'm with GMA now. So we're both just fans and we've been watching the matches. Pero syempre, because we're passionate about volleyball, Josh being a player, me having covered it since 2009, we use this platform to talk about it and converse with you guys. So, Josh, I want to ask you to start things off. Which team in the Open Conference surprised you the most?
Actually, when you say surprise, siguro for me it would be Signal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kasi sa pinapakita niyang laro ng Signal ngayon, like if I would compare it sa mga previous seasons nila, medyo iba yung laro. Like, I think medyo nagje-gel sila ngayon compared sa dati. Like with si Ate Rachel, like her yung game niya ngayon kakaiba. Like parang dami kong nakikita mga tweets na yung parang yung old rad down, parang bumabalik yung laro ni Ate Rachel. So ayan, nagulat din ako sa laro niya. Also F2 kasi first time natin makita yung F2 with to join PVL, di ba? So surprised din sila. Yeah. So,
I think most people will say Signal just because of the fact na in the bubble conference last year, they only won 1 match.
Yeah, totoo.
Tapos nag-beef up sila. Yun nga, they got Cayuna, they got Meneses, they got Molina. So yung mga recruits nila really beefed up their team and they're now living up to their team moniker na Team Awesome talaga.
Yeah.
All right, now I want to ask you also about your MVP. I know we just finished pool play. The league just finished pool play. Pero para sa'yo, who has been the MVP so far going into the quarterfinals?
It's a tough one.
Maraming nag-step up no?
Maraming nag-step up kasi I would say like if MVP first na mapupunta naman agad sa isip ko is Alyssa Valdez, di ba? Like clutch, Alyssa naman na nagde-deliver siya. But since Creamline itself kasi when you see them play, like everyone contributes So parang hirap din na masabi ko na like si Alyssa kasi like tumutulong, like you have middle blockers, Risa Sato, you have Tots Carlos, you have Gemma, di ba? So parang napapaikot na maayos yung ball, lalo ni Gia. So, yun nga. So I would say pwede rin si Gia maging MVP, di ba? Yeah, so kasi napapaikot niya yung bola niya.
If I would choose from the names that you mentioned, I would go Tots Carlos.
Tots Carlos, pwede.
Tots kasi right now, yung average niya is 19.3 points per match.
Yeah.
Although they only played 3 matches kasi mas maliit yung group nila. But like among all the names you mentioned, all worthy. But like if I had to choose, I would have to give it to Tots.
Yeah, Tots. Actually. Yeah, kasi nakita ko rin yung mga points yan, tataas eh.
Tsaka may mga nagtitweet sa akin na kasi lagi ko alam yung career high ng player eh. So tinitweet ako bigla, di na ako nagko-cover. Ito ba yung career high ni Tots? Kasi naka 28 points si Tots eh.
Yeah.
During their last match against Petrogas.
Tsaka may nakita rin mga tweets kay Tots, parang grabe daw pumalo si Tots yun. As in, power talaga daw.
Yeah.
So yun.
Alright, Josh, let's get into it. March Madness style. Let's make our predictions kasi quarterfinals na ngayon. Let's predict all the way up to the finals. So we got the matchup: Signal versus Pure, Petrogas versus F2, Creamline versus Chery Tigo, Choco Mucho versus PLDT. Of course, the teams that are ranked higher have a twice-to-beat advantage in the quarterfinals. Let's go to the first matchup. Signal versus Pure. Is there a chance na madisgrasya itong Signal sa Pure?
Actually, parang for me maganda yung matchup ng Signal and Pure. Kasi with Signal, if they would stay consistent, yun yung ikakapanalo nila. Like kasi nga, diba, sabi natin, compared sa other seasons nila, iba yung laro nila ngayon. And if like Ate Rachel, like yung mga ibang recruits nila, si Molina, si Meneses magsi-step up, it would be a big help para sa team nila. And yun sabi mo, hindi madisgrasya ng Pure. Kasi si Pure for me, like nakikita ko sa mga games nila so far, parang they're still trying to, kumbaga parang nagpapakiramdam pa sila. So, ayun nga, if biglang mawala sa focus si Signal siguro, or like hindi nila makip yung game nila, pwede siguro nilang like madisgrasya yung Signal. Pero yun nga, I would say for me sa ngayon sa pinapakita ng Signal, it would be Signal.
Yeah, it's hard to pick against Signal because they're 4-0 and Pure is 0-3. So I think it's safe to say that Signal will advance to the semifinals.
Yeah.
Now this number 2 matchup, Josh, is very interesting. Petrogas versus F2. Can you believe it? F2 does not have the twice-to-beat advantage here because when we were covering the PVL, there was talk about imagine if F2 was part of the PVL, and now they're finally part of the PVL. Although may malaking factor kasi wala si Coach Ramil De Jesus who's coaching in the bubble with the Lady Spikers. What do you think is gonna happen in this matchup with Petrogas?
Yeah, sabi mo Anton na, di ba, parang kasi like nung narinig ko rin na magjo-join si F2 sa PVL, sabi ko, sure na yan, isa yan sa mga top-notch teams talaga. Yun nga, parang like kanina nakita ko, actually kanina ko lang din napansin na hindi si Coach Ramil yung nasa sideline. So, parang that could be a factor kung siguro bakit ganoon yung F2 kasi kasi iba pa rin yung pag yung head coach nandiyan dyan eh. Like yung pagpapay ng players, di ba? Tapos yung players, syempre, iba rin yung feeling na nandiyan yung head coach nila. Di ba? So parang for me, that would be a factor din. Pero yun nga kasi parang feeling ko din, it's because of yung sa pandemic din, yung, di ba? Parang lately, narinig ko lang lately lang din nakapag-training si F2 eh. Parang ganun. Nakabalik sila kasi di ba? Parang they were supposed to join PVL way before, di ba? Pero hindi na, diba? So parang yon. So feeling ko that could be also a factor din. Pero with Petrogas naman,
nag-beef up din kasi yung Petrogas eh, di ba? You have MJ Phillips who joined from Santa Lucia. She's averaging a little over 12 points per match. Nicole Tiamzon also stepping up. Soltones, 13 points per match. Si Aiza Maizo Pontillas, grabe, 10.7 points per match. It's actually Myla Pablo pa who's been quiet dito sa Petrogas, just averaging 5 points per match. Pero it's the spread out effort kasi of Petrogas eh. Like
Yeah, actually.
How can F2 overcome that?
Mhm. Well, siguro kung gano'n kasi like yung mga nabanggit natin na names sa Petrogas, like talagang mga scores, di ba, like way before pa. But then if magki-kick in dito for me, yung familiarity ng F2 with each other. Kasi kahit yun nga, like let's given na yun, wala si Coach Ramil. Kasi because di ba may UAAP. So, feeling ko if magsi-step up yung core ng F2, like you have Udi, you have Abby Maranyo, Majoy Baron, who's still there. Feeling ko mahihirapan pa rin yung Petrogas to beat a team na kasi iba yung team na buo tsaka matagal na magkakasama compared sa isang team na malakas pero gets yung hindi pa ganun kaano. I-compare mo yung experience sa yung tagal ng pagsasamahan. Iba yung team na ganun So I would say for me F2, I would side on F2 sa matchup na to.
You know, I'm leaning towards that also kasi parang para sa akin it's so hard to imagine na matatalo ang isang team na may Majoy Baron, na may Kiana D, na may Don Macandili, Kim Fajardo's starting to play, may Tintiam Zon. It's hard to imagine a team like that na matatalo sa quarterfinals pa lang. And I agree with your point na yun nga, although Petrogas is playing well, they just formed this team, like these big names just joined them for this conference. So yeah, I agree. I think familiarity will come into play here. And F2, if there's a team who can overcome a twice to beat advantage, it's them, even without Coach Ramil.
True.
All right. Okay, let's move on to the third matchup. Creamline, Chery, Tigo. Ito yung naglaban sa finals ng PVL Bubble last year. Ito, Josh, I guessed it on another show. I gave my thoughts. Sinabi ko na, even without Jaja, to me, Chery Tigo is championship caliber. Because si Mylene, best scorer sa Thailand, tapos si Dindin, di ba? Akala ko batak pa sila sa laro. But they struggled in the beginning of this conference. And now, magbabanggaan sila ng Creamline who hasn't lost. So, paano kaya yon? Is it too little too late para sa team ni Dindin at Mylene, itong Chery Tigo, the defending champs?
Like, yun nga, like sa matchup natin kanina with F2 and Petrogas, si Creamline kasi, when they play, parang ano sila, like, what do you call, anong term? Like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, diba? Well-oiled machine.
Yeah, as in hindi sila, as in like, yung from the digging or receiving, papunta sa setting, tapos sa spiking, as in parang sobrang, like yung finesse, ando doon. As in walang, parang sobrang ano ng errors, di ba? Yung parang, that, na malaking factor yun sa isang laro, di ba? Yung mga errors, tapos, yeah, like you said, si Dindin and si Mylene, yung experience sila, that's gonna play a big part naman. But, yun nga, iba to iba yung mga teammates nila here Hindi nila teammates yun sa Thailand kasi syempre, di ba? Iba yung teammates nila here. And I think for me, for this game, siguro like si Jasmine Nabor, I think she really needs to step up on how to use Dindin and Mylene. Or like to get their sets, di ba? Or like, yeah, yung mapagana niya yung dalawa. Kasi kung mapagana niya yung dalawa, they could be a force talaga against Creamline. Pero yun nga, with Creamline, talaga na talagang kakaiba rin yung, I mean, you have Alyssa, you have Tots, like sabi natin kanina, di ba? O yung scoring Tots ngayon. You have Gemma for defense. Kompleto sila like kahit sino ipasok mo sa kanila mag-sub, service specialist, they have. Creamline will be really hard to beat.
Tsaka ganado sila to get back at Chery Tigo, and this is their chance because Jaja's not there. So if there's a moment to seize the win, this is it.
Actually, yun nga, parang like yung pagkawala din ni Jaja, they could use that din kasi like kung mapapansin ko si Nabor, sobrang connect sila ni Jaja
Totoo, yeah.
Yeah, like go-to girl talaga ni Jasmine Nabor si Jaja since wala si Jaja, di ba?
Yeah.
So Jasmine really has to find her kumbaga yung go-to girl this time.
That's a great point. So I guess we're leaning towards Creamline here. Creamline will advance to the semifinals. Guys, if you have your thoughts, just put them down in the comment section below. Let's be kind with our comments. I mean, we're just basing these thoughts on Josh's experience, of course. Syempre, that's why we invited him on. All right, the last matchup, Choco Mucho and PLDT. Choco Mucho coming off that big win against F2. Masasabi ko dito, Josh, parang yung momentum ng Choco Mucho maganda ngayon eh. Parang they're confident. They ended that match against F2 with a bang and Des Cheng, grabe. I mean, what a win for her against her former team.
True. As in, parang for this season, parang ang ganda ng pagkaka-recruit nila with Des Cheng eh. Kasi, di ba, like, when it comes to spiking, yung depensa ni Des Cheng, nandoon siya. And also her experience, her championship experience din, di ba? You could bring it sa, like, yun nga, di ba, parang nagulat nga rin yung mga tao na napunta si Des Cheng and si Aduke sa team. Talagang Ateneo team, di ba? Parang ganon. Like, mostly comprises of Ateneo athletes. And to bring their experience, yung system din nila, di ba, to that kind of team, yun nga, like Ateneo tapos Lasal pa na system, parang, di ba, gets mo? Nagsama mo pa. So, sobrang ganda ng tandem nila, like pagkakabuo ng team nila.
PLDT, Josh, what do you think? May chance ba sila against, this beefed up Choco Mucho team?
Actually, napapansin ko kasi sa mga previous games ng Choco Mucho, tapos yung pinaka-previous nila, natalo sila. Tama? Tapos parang I saw tweets na parang nag-kick in was yung emotions ng players. Parang gano'n. So I think if makontrol ng Choco Mucho siguro yung mga emotions nila, for me, from what I saw yung previous game nila, that could be, magiging okay yun for their team. And like kanina din sabi ko, yung team kasi ng Choco Mucho, like mostly din mga Ateneo players na matagal na rin nagkakasama, diba? So magiging mahirap din. You have Denden, who's a great libero, diba? You have Dina Wong, tapos si Bea De Leon, who's still in her A game pa rin naman. It'd be really hard for PLDT. PLDT kasi last game nila, nakita ko parang medyo, nagpapakiramdaman pa rin sila din eh, napapansin ko eh.
And it took a while before they won eh. Yung last game nila, doon lang sila nanalo eh.
True.
So yeah, it would be very hard for a team na nagpapakiramdaman pa.
Yeah, yung team ng PLDT, malakas sila eh, pero parang may kulang. May something kulang for me eh, na I don't know what that is eh. Siguro yung, parang yung drive to win, parang hindi ko pa nakikita sa kanila. Parang compared sa Choco Mucho na parang kada point, kita mo si Dina talagang...
Alam mo, magandang point yung binanggit mo, Ana. Choco Mucho is a very emotional team. Even after the win against F2, nakita mo si Dina parang very emotional pa at the end eh.
Yeah. And Coach O naman, di ba? He's a very vocal coach talaga. So, yung players kasi, yun nga, if magpapa-affect ka sa mga ganun ni Coach O, kasi si Coach O talaga, ganun talaga siyang klaseng coach eh. Like, he really shouts, he really points out yung error mo, ganyan. And it's up to you kung ita-take mo yon as something positive or negative eh. So, if Choco Mucho nga, yun nga, like, since they know Coach O naman eh. So, they should know how to handle Coach O at this point na rin. So,
and this is coming from a guy, how many years were you under Coach O?
Actually, 3.5, 4. More or less 3 or 4.
Pero yung 3-peat, di ba?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have our semifinals predictions. It's gonna be Signal versus F2, and then Creamline versus Choco Mucho, the Ribisco matchup. But let's start with the first one. Okay, Signal versus F2. Josh, how is this gonna go pag maglaban tong dalawang to sa semis?
Would you, do you think makakabalik pa si Coach Ramil? Parang hindi na, no?
Malabo. Let's assume na hindi na siya
Hindi
makakabalik.
na talaga, you know?
Because, di ba, parang nakatutok siya sa sa Lady Spikers. Let's assume na hindi siya makakabalik. Although, I don't know kasi yung fans, they're gonna be back in the stands na
Yeah, oo nga narinig ko nga yun. Totoo naman siguro yun, no? Yeah.
Yeah, totoo yun.
That's nice. Siguro sa matchup na to, I would still choose F2.
Wow.
Yeah, pero kudos pa rin sa game ng Signal.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, like ang ganda na pinapakita nila, consistency and everything.
Mm-mm.
Pero like knowing F2 kasi pataas yung competition.
Mm-mm.
Parang mas nagde-deliver sila.
So when the going gets tough,
Yeah.
tough gets going, that's the type of mentality they have.
Yeah, for
you.
F, nakikita ko sa kanila yan with their type of players na parang pag yun na higher stakes, I see them talaga, they really play talagang binubuhos nila lahat yung F2.
Do you think, Josh, this is gonna be a game 3 or is it gonna be a sweep? Kasi mahirap din sabihin na sweep because I mean Signal would be entering this based on our predictions.
Yeah.
They would be entering this na unbeaten. Pero iba rin kasi, Josh, yung alam mo yun, yung unbeaten ka tapos pag natalo ka.
Yeah, totoo.
And it happens not in the eliminations.
Yeah, and iba rin yung dala mong parang pride pag wala kang talo. Iba rin yung dala mong parang pwedeng matakot yung kabilang team sa inyo. Yung parang ganun. Yung parang may pressure yun Like may good pressure and a bad pressure. Parang good pressure kasi yun nga, yung parang wala kaming talo, ganito. So talagang gutom kami to really enter the finals. Parang ganun, di ba? And bad naman kasi what do you call this? Parang bad pressure siya kasi nga yung parang baka pwedeng maging complacent yung players, parang ganon. Yeah, so yeah, like what we've always talked about kanina, si Signal, if they would keep their kind of in-game na ganon, they could give a great game against a good match against against F2. Yeah. Pero again, mahirap talaga i-beat for me yung F2 once na nakuha nila yung tempo nila.
All right, so let's just say, since it's tough to call, let's just say it's gonna go 3 matches. Let's just say it's gonna go 3 matches, and then F2 advances to the finals. Okay, eto, Josh. I'm sure this is going to elicit a lot of comments from our viewers.
Yeah.
Creamline versus Choco Mucho. Kindly break it down for everybody, Josh. You have insight on these players, insight on the coach of Choco Mucho. What do you think is gonna happen when they face off in the semifinals?
I'm really torn. I'm really torn right now.
Marami kang kaibigan, close friends in Creamline, and then your coach is in Choco Mucho.
Okay. Knowing Coach O kasi, he works wonders talaga when it comes to, coaching, tapos sa players. Pero kasi I want to see maturity when it comes to Creamline. Kasi Choco Mucho, they also have that maturity rin pero I would say when it comes kasi sa maturity, parang silang they have maturity, but parang for me medyo angat yung maturity ni Creamline. Yeah, in a way na parang si Choco kasi meron silang instances at times na nakikita ko na parang tuloy-tuloy sila ng points tapos biglang bababa tapos biglang angat, ganon. Si Creamline kasi talagang all the way kumbaga steady sila Si Choco, nakikita ko yun nga, like malakas tapos biglang mga errors for a while or like hindi makaka-puntos, parang ganon. So yun yung magiging challenge for Choco Mucho against Creamline. They played naman din before, tapos whatever they played mga tune-ups din naman, di ba? So yun. So yun yung magiging challenge for me ng Choco Mucho on their side. It's not with Creamline being a hard or being a tough opponent. Parang for me, yung kalaban ng Choco Mucho, yung sarili nila.
Okay. So because of that aspect, and this is really good, because obviously, with your experience being a player, you see things that like the average fan, the casual fan, they don't see this. Like what you point out could be a potential weakness or a potential advantage. So, kasi personal wise, you could say like they cancel each other out because they both have great players.
They both match up yung players talaga nila eh. Match. Yeah.
So tingin mo magkakatalo doon sa like maturity and experience?
Yeah, doon magkakatalo eh kasi like what I said, sabi mo rin match up like Tots against Kat, di ba?
Yeah.
Alyssa Gemma against Pongay and either Descheng or Molde, di ba? So the middle nila, it's the same eh. So you really can't say. For me, it would be yung composure din. Maturity and composure ng team. Like, pag-iwas sa errors, tapos pag-iwas din, yun yung pagiging emotional. Yeah, so yun yung mga factors for me kasi kung sa laro, lahat, wala akong masasabi sa kanila.
Okay, so because of that, you're leading for Creamline to win this matchup. Okay, so it's gonna be an F2 Creamline matchup. This is like the dream finals that we've been talking about since the pandemic pa. But before we talk about that, Josh, I just want to ask you about this because like you experienced playing under Coach Owen. You brought up something very interesting na parang when you play under Coach O, he's a very in-your-face type of coach. He'll get under your skin, he'll get on your nerves, but at some point, you have to be able to know how to deal with it na.
Yeah.
Like for you, how did you deal with that kind of approach from a coach like Coach Oliver Almadro?
Kasi ako kasi yung type of person na parang actually I wouldn't say like for me lang. Kasi si Coach kasi niya like he really expresses himself talaga. Like he would say stuff talaga. But for me, parang pag sa laro, I need that para ma-push ako eh.
So you feed off of that?
Yeah, I need that pressure. Kumbaga, kasi like what he always tell us din, yung pressure na binibigay niya sa amin, pag nandoon na kami sa mismong court, wala na yung lahat wala nang pressure yun eh. Like let's say last point yung kalaban, wala yun, hindi kami kinakabahan sa ganun. As in, parang sanay na kami sa kanya. Sa kanya pa lang, kumbaga sinasabi niya na sa amin, dapat ano na kami. Sa kanya na kami ma-pressure. Para pagdating sa laro, wala na dapat kaming pressure, parang ganun. So I really yun nga, sa sarili ko nasana eh. Like kahit before kasi nag-start si Coach O sa amin ulit when nagbumalik siya na Ateneo. Noong una talagang we really, as in di amin na kinakaya kasi pagod na sa training tas pagod pa sa utak. Oo, as in talagang ganun. Pero yun parang may times na nakita namin na wala si Coach O for a time kasi parang basta may mga times na minsan wala siya. Doon namin nakikita na ang layo ng performance namin pag wala siya sa compared nandoon siya tapos like he really shouts, he really tells us ganito ganyan. So yeah, from there we really saw it as something na very a positive thing. So yun.
All right. So that's a very interesting revelation because in our finals matchup, we have F2 versus Creamline and F2's coach is not there. So because of that factor, sabi mo kasi 'di ba, pag nawala si Coach O, dun yung nararamdaman yung pagkawala niya. So like, do you see that hindi naman disappearance, but the absence because of his commitment to the Lady Spikers in LaSalle. Do you see that as an advantage for Creamline in the finals?
Well, kasi like, people might say naman na baka masyadong ginagawang reason din yung pagkawala ng coach, di ba? Parang ganun.
And I'm sure the players don't want to make excuses also.
Yeah, I don't want to make excuses din. Pero, knowing... For me, siguro magkakatalo ngayon. Si F2 kasi, when it comes to their blocking, grabe talaga eh. You have Majoy, Happy, di ba? Lalaking players. Kim D sa utility. Si Creamline, I would side Creamline sa defense naman nila on this time. Kasi, and si Gia, yung pagpaikot niya ng bola, magiging big factor yon for me. Pero when it comes to blocking, pag kunwari yung mga plays na simple lang, tatayuan lang yun ng F2 eh. Kasi lalaki eh. Like with Kim D din, ang galing ni Kim D mag-block sa utility. I mean, as an opposite. So, paano kaya? Hirap ha?
So you're saying, okay, let's point out some of the factors that you mentioned. Okay, so sa defense, lamang ang Creamline, blocking lamang ang F2, playmaking, would you say, you kind of said Gia's, but the thing about F2 kasi, Kim Fajardo is not 100% clearly, but you have Iris naman there. Diba? Yeah. So it's also tough to pick with the playmaking.
And pag kasi you have Don sa kabila, tapos you have sila Kyla. Yeah. So, very good match-up. Yeah, for me, for Creamline, would be Gia's talaga. Parang si Gia ang paano hindi to eh.
Susi.
Yeah, susi. Kasi she really has to create plays na malilito talaga si F2. Parang gano'n. Like, single block. Kasi pag like, kapag single block, madali niya for Tots, for Alyssa, for Gemma, kaya nilang gawa ng paraan yan eh. Pero kapag malalaki yung blockers na sa harap nila, medyo challenge sila eh. It would be really tough for them. So for me, it would be Gia on this sa Creamline. Pag sa F2 naman, for me, no offense naman sa middles ng Creamline, pero for me, parang magiging advantage ng F2 yung mga middles nila. Particularly Majoy and Abby. So, yon. If mapapaganan din nila yung middles nila ng maayos, yung blocking, yung atake, magiging good boost yon sa team nila.
Alright, Josh. So, the time has come for you to make your pick. If you had to pick one, I mean, you've laid out all of the advantages, the disadvantages, possible weaknesses of Creamline and F2. You had to pick. Who do you think is going to win this matchup?
Guys, hindi ako bias ha. Pero I would side with Creamline. Yeah, Creamline.
And I think based on your whole explanation, your pick for finals MVP here would be Gia de Guzman.
Yeah. Kasi I see actually parang nako-compare ko yung Creamline sa galaw nila ngayon sa parang galaw ay parang sa team ko noon sa Ateneo, parang gano'n. Yung parang, parang sobrang magkakasama na parang gel, everything. Tapos si Gia, parang na-imagine ko siya for example, si Ish. Parang siya.
Okay.
Yeah, parang, kumbaga, siya na bahala. Basta, parang receivean niyo lang ako na bahala. Tapos, magdi-deliver na yung mga ibang players. Kasi for me, key factor din talaga yung setter eh. Yung setter talaga. Like, kung paano yung distribute yung bola, kung paano niya mag-create ng plays, ganyan. So, I would say si Gia talaga.
Alright, so let's take a look at Josh's bracket. And very interesting, sa semifinals, you have Signal na hindi pa natatalo going up against F2, but F2 advancing to the finals. And then, of course, the other semifinals matchup, it is the Ribisco matchup between Creamline and Choco Mucho, with Creamline having the slight edge. And
Coach
then,
O, slight edge lang naman. Oo ba, hindi Coach O. Coach O, slight edge lang.
Baka mas lalo silang ma-motivate. Mas lalo silang ma-motivate dahil sa'yo. Ikaw naman yung mag-motivate sa kanila.
Slight lang, Coach O.
And in the finals, we have F2 versus Creamline, with Creamline winning behind the playmaking of Gia De Guzman. So if you guys agree, if you guys have your own predictions, please put them down in the comment section below. Josh, thank you so much for your insight. Grabe, sobrang I learned a lot, and you were able to explain things na yun nga, like I wouldn't normally see as, you know, as a commentator and as a fan.
Thank you so much, Anton, sa pag-invite din sa akin here. I really love playing volleyball and also talking about volleyball. So yeah, it's an honor.
Yeah, so hopefully next time you can share your whole story. Siguro pag wala nang tournament si Dende.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I would love to ulit here sa show nyo. Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much again, Josh. There you have it, guys. Josh Villanueva and his PVL Open Conference predictions here on Volleyball DNA. See you guys next time.
Thank you for watching Volleyball DNA. Make sure you hit the subscribe button to get notified for future episodes and interview highlights.
And while you're at it, head over to our Facebook page by clicking on the link in the description.